Of course, we don't have a complete figure right now, but just based upon the criminal charges that have been filed today, and there'll be 5 counts filed in Kiowa County Monday. Those are based upon over $600,000 of claims themselves. But
A week ago, the tornado hit the Mannford First Baptist Church. The congregation couldn't pray here today, but that doesn't mean they weren't praying.
Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Our God is marching on.
The town's Masonic temple served as their church today, and it was filled to overflowing. If there are any feelings of bitterness over what nature had done to them, it was not present this morning. Everyone who had been with them a week ago survived, and some of the emotions have survived as well.
You know, the prayers beforehand is what made the difference. During that time, we didn't have much opportunity to pray. I don't think ever again will our church be like it was before. It's going to be stronger, it's going to be better, it's going to have more peace, it's going to have more of a tried spirit than it ever has known before.
Some of those who came today had lost everything they owned when the tornado barreled through last Sunday. But today, 1 week later, all were pledged to rebuilding, and that includes the church that sheltered them from the storm.
The 2 points were that, one, that the settlement seemed low. The second was that I was concerned that if this were settled out of court without presenting the evidence, that the information that might have come out during the trial might not come out.
Number one is that the people were not forced to vote. They went voting enthusiastically. They were excited. It was a very fervent, ardent group of people wanting democracy, and that was very impressive. And the second thing is that as a result of that, these were free, fair, honest elections.
Few people will say that prisons are the most critical issue facing Oklahoma, but many state leaders say prisons will be the most visible issue this summer. They are afraid that overcrowding and summer heat could lead to rioting. The House and Senate are near agreement on a plan to put inmates into community treatment 6 months prior to their release. That would free up precious bed space and help inmates adapt to society before they are turned loose. But Governor Nye says he has already signed one inmate release law this session, and he wants to see how it works before he signs another one. Nye met with House and Senate leaders for several hours this afternoon to iron out differences on prisons and several other issues.
We haven't decided on that yet. We're still working on it, and we're still communicating. I'm confident that before many more days have passed, we will have worked out a solution to that problem. It's an important piece of business, and it's our responsibility to do that, and I'm sure that we will.
There are about 12 issues that need to be resolved before lawmakers can go home for the session. So for the next few days, the state's three principal leaders will be a little like surgeons looking for a lump. The patient is the state budget. Each side is looking for a program they can save here, a dollar they can trim there. All those programs and dollars are tied together. And this year, of all years, the patient is a delicate one. Charles Schnitzer, News 4, at the state capitol.
Will we support freedom in this hemisphere or not? Will we defend our vital interests in this hemisphere or not? Will we stop the spread of communism in this hemisphere or not? Will we act while there is still time?
And consumers, so the competition spirit may make frogs before they find a prince of a local phone system. But if all these options scare you, remember, you can leave everything the way it is. If you continue to rent the phones that are in hopes to convince consumers that AT&T stands for a
Well, of course, they enabled us to collect a 50-cent per call charge on long-distance directory assistance, and we were pleased about that. We had asked for that since we have been paying Southwestern Bell and other companies for that service and haven't been able to collect on it.
Spokane, Washington, more than 10 years ago, a city in desperate need of a facelift. Mining and timber brought the railroads to Spokane in the 1800s. By the 1970s, the riverfront area was a decaying switching yard. The nearby river polluted, a significant health hazard. Then came a group of Spokane business leaders with the plan to bring to the city the World's Fair. The dream was realized,
And in May of 1974, Expo 74 became a reality. The transformation of Spokane, considered amazing to those who'd seen it just a year or two earlier. The economy enjoyed recovery, a shot in the arm still being felt there today. And today, Spokane stands as an example to other cities, proof that a World's Fair can reshape a city's economic path for years to come. Certainly an incentive to Oklahoma City's leaders. Dan Slocum, News 4.
I wasn't surprised because I've been talking to some people about it, but I really thought they'd take care of it, you know.
You think they've taken care of it the right way?
I think so.
24 hours have passed since Oklahoma County Sheriff deputies and FDIC officials marched into the First Continental Bank and Trust Company of Del City. When they closed and locked the bank entrance, they shut the door forever on First Continental. It will soon reopen as the United Oklahoma Bank of Del City. The emergency charter will transfer the 17,000 Continental customers to the new bank.
This is a bank that's associated with the people involved in the United Oklahoma Bank, Oklahoma City. It will be a newly capitalized bank, all deposits fully insured.
It's locked. It's closed.
The news came as a surprise this morning to those unaware of the FDIC liquidation. Others had been expecting the takeover.
I wasn't surprised because I've been talking to some people about it, but I really thought they'd take care of it, you know.
You think they've taken care of it the right way?
I think so.
Insured deposits in First Continental totaled $92.3 million. Officials are urging depositors to visit the bank within 30 days.
I thought they said last night on the news it was going to open this morning.
I guess they didn't finish that. They worked right on.
And I must tell you that he was really very good because I was a brilliant doctor. And I'll be honest with you.
Who has given so much to mankind, gave new visions and extended
prolonged life for people.
He could not be with us. Dr. Ron White, President of the Oak Heart Center.
Now, therefore, I, Governor Nye, Governor of the State of Oklahoma,
Except that the name's changed. Oh, yeah. The thing on the checks, the transfer routing number that's on the bottom of the checks. That's usually the one.
I don't feel like that they did us justice by not telling us that they were going to close and give us a little bit of a warning.
I decided, well, they went under for bad loans, so they don't need my business.
I'm Bill Johnstone. Any questions?
Take pictures, then, baby.
How pretty.
We will run it as a Del City institution with focus on Del City, the businesses of Del City, the people of Del City. We'll run it as a community bank in Del City. Emphasis on Del City.
The liquor by the drink controversy has been boiled down to a matter of economics. According to opponents, liquor by the drink would cost the state money, more money than most people realize. Officials with the Sooner Alcohol Narcotics Education Organization say for every dollar in revenue raised through liquor sales, another $4 will be lost due to social problems caused by excessive drinking, including crime. But supporters of the liquor by the drink issue disagree. They say the state can earn as much as $35 million if their proposal becomes a reality.
What we based our study on was a very conservative system of studying the drinking habits in Oklahoma and what are currently illegal sales that we're trying to take advantage of through taxation system. What we did was took a conservative system that Texas used in 1972 when they passed liquor by the drink, and they estimated their first year revenue at $11 million. And to give you an idea how conservative that figure turned out to be, their first year tax revenue was $33 million. So if anything, we're low on our figures.
Regardless of the economic aspects, liquor by the drink has been on the ballot before in 1972 and 76, both times defeated. But Williams believes the county option stipulation gives the measure a good chance of being accepted this time. The vote takes place September 18th. Kevin Ockel, News 4.
I would have thought there would have been a good chance now, since there is an election year. I believe that the congressmen who voted against this legislation are going to be targets in November, because 80% of the people favor school prayer, according to the Gallup polls.
Roseanne Beckman. Roseanne Little.
Cut it off. Let's give it the full measure.
Get used to disagreeing all the time. Some of whom even practice.
There are no good reasons to vote against this bill. There are a couple of red herrings that you're going to hear about that tend to speculate on what somebody might have impact on their divorce proceeding, but the speculation's not even valid.
They're seeing a man and a woman laying over there in the yard. He had a gun in his hand, and then she had her arm across his chest.
"6 years hasn't been long enough for Oklahomans to forget what happened at a Southside Oklahoma City steakhouse. 4 teenagers and 2 adults were herded into a walk-in cooler and gunned down.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Have a seat, please.
Verna Stafford pled guilty to a pair of second-degree murder charges and helped send her husband Roger Dale to death row for the crimes. Now, 4 years later, Verna Stafford is eligible for parole. Mrs. Stafford has been busy in prison. She's earned a couple of college degrees and been elected president of the JCETs.
I've really tried to improve myself and be better, so when I go to the streets I can live a decent life.
I also have a copy of...
McLean County Sheriff Don Smith has also been busy. Sheriff Smith has collected 1,000 signatures on a petition asking that Verna Stafford remain behind bars. The sheriff was among a handful of lawmen who testified against Verna Stafford's parole request. The law officers provided the parole board members with crime scene pictures, just in case their memory of the murders had faded.
In Oklahoma City, she participated in the execution of 4 fine young teenagers and 2 adults. On the highway down here in this county, between Purcell and Oklahoma City, she participated in the execution of 2 adults and another little 12-year-old boy, one that they stood over and executed. Now, ladies and gentlemen, If that's the kind of person that ought to be out walking the streets of Oklahoma County, or any county, anywhere, then there's something wrong with my perception of justice.
Verna Stafford testified during her husband's murder trial that Roger Dale forced her to shoot one of the steakhouse victims. However, homicide detective Bill Cook told the parole board that Verna told him a different story.
She told me that she killed half the people in the freezer.
Sir, I didn't call the police. Didn't work out, so they sent me a tap until they find another foster.
Period of time? Yes. Stay away from alcohol? To just cut people loose without supervision or without regard to their institutional record, without regard to their propensity maybe to come back and commit other crimes, I think circumvents that will of the people and should not be done. I think it poses a threat of safety for society, and it also circumvents what the people voted for, and that was a pardon and parole board to screen those individuals.
When veterans groups reached an out-of-court settlement with the makers of Agent Orange a few weeks ago, it made big headlines. But these Vietnam vets are afraid the settlement might now give the impression that the government is off the hook on the Agent Orange issue. Today, they called on Congress to pass legislation to provide compensation beyond the $180 million granted by the chemical companies who made the dangerous defoliant.
We're not asking for something that is irreasonable. We're asking for something that is logical, fair, equitable, and just.
For these vets, justice would be for Congress and the Veterans Administration to acknowledge a connection between Agent Orange and 3 specific diseases. They also want a program where children of victims can get covered for doctor and medical bills. The head of Oklahoma's Agent Orange Foundation says the help is long overdue.
The VA must be mandated to recognize the disabilities caused by this so that the veterans can get medical care, so that this fund can make its way to the children. And we must spread out the cost of this in order to get any kind of equitable settlement.
Carter and the other vets say the suit with the chemical companies only skimmed the surface of the Agent Orange issue. They want the government to admit its role in using the hazardous defoliant and to promise it will help all victims in the future. Bob Petrick, News 4, Washington.
The new trial centers around the testimony of this woman, Ruth Ann Girdner Hembry. At the first trial, she testified that members of her own family participated with Dan Draper in a vote fraud scheme to get his father elected to the legislature. But at a motion for a new trial, Hembry recanted her previous testimony and pointed the finger at U.S. Attorney Gary Richardson. Federal Judge Frank C. listened to Hembry allege that the U.S. Attorney's Office coached her to lie on the stand and incriminate the lawmakers. An internal investigation has cleared Richardson of any wrongdoing in the case. But defense attorneys Gene Stipe and Bruce Green still hope to prove that at least portions of Girdner's new testimony are accurate. During the first trial, Draper and Fitzgibbon were sentenced to 3 years in prison. The pair has remained free throughout the lengthy appeal. Kurt Autry, News 4.
I think we got a big problem.
And the problems are non-stop in this action-packed, edge-of-the-seat high adventure. The creative team of Steven Spielberg and George Lucas are reunited once again in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom to pit the famous archaeologist against adversaries who are the very embodiment of evil in a desperate quest for a sacred stone with magical powers. Actor Harrison Ford recreates the role of the daring and heroic archaeologist. His sidekick, Short Round, is played by 12-year-old Ki Hwai Kwan, who won the role after a worldwide talent search. Actress Kate Capshaw captures Indy's interest as the sassy nightclub performer who gets caught up in his adventure.
You call him Dr. Jones, dog.
This heroic trio is tossed together by fate, and they find themselves facing one incredible situation after another.
No one's flying the plane!
If you want to be the first kid on the block to see Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, remember this.
He caught a fish and it drug his pole in the water, so he went after it. He can't swim, so he got in the water too deep, turned around and couldn't get back out. They had people trying to get him, and they couldn't get to him.
Just 2.5 months from now, pari-mutuel racing will become a reality here at Blue Ribbon Downs in Salisaw. Instead of getting the track ready for betting race fans, workers are having to spend time cleaning up from yesterday's fire. The blaze destroyed the 750-seat grandstand. Track officials say the fire began after an accident with a cutting torch.
The construction crew was in there cutting out the existing bleachers to get it ready to remodel with our theater seating. And the cutting torch caught the insulation on fire underneath. And they went down, tried to put it out, and it just kind of exploded, went through the whole building.
The only thing salvageable from the fire were some records. Everything else went up in smoke. Fire officials say efforts to contain the blaze were hampered because adequate water lines have not yet been extended to the property. A fire at this same track killed 12 horses last year. The foundation is being laid for a new 900-seat grandstand at the track. Blue Ribbon officials are counting on it to be ready by this summer.
The accident may cut down on attendance at the first pari-mutuel race here, but track officials are confident they can stay on schedule and begin their season as planned August 16th. Kevin Ogle, News 4 in Salisaw.